This is the House of Hockey podcast
where we talk about the game and the lifestyle.
We've got opinions as hockey fans, friends, and from the female perspective.
Welcome to our house.
Welcome to the House of Hockey podcast. This is episode 190. I'm one of your hosts, Ray. Breezy is still out on long-term injured reserved, and here to wrap up the 23-24 hockey NHL season, we have our two reoccurring guest co-hosts, Andy Zilch and Alma Laura, who have been just incredible and so supportive and so helpful and insightful and entertaining throughout this second half of this season. So we couldn't end it any other way than without having the two of you here. So thanks.
Thanks. I heard that you were actually going to bring on your best co-host that you've had fill in and you couldn't decide. So you brought us both.
Yes, Andy. That's true. There was no way I could pick just one. No way. Not at all. I'm so glad you guys are here and that we could make this work. We obviously did not do an episode last week. Just with the way this series went with the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers and the swing from 3-3 to taking it all the way to a game 7. I didn't want to put an episode out and then like the next day they win and the whole content we say just be complete nonsense. So we waited and we have a Stanley Cup champion, the Florida Panthers, win it at home. Reactions?
I'm happy Edmonton lost. As a Kings fan, I mean, ignore the sweater, but as a Kings fan, I'm so glad they lost. I was not going to be able to bear with their fans next season, so I'm okay with it.
I mean, I think they did what they could. They accomplished what nobody thought they were going to take it to 7. I think in general, I think a lot of people were taking Panthers in 5 or 6. So for them to run it through 7 and take it to its duration, great. It was a long layoff in between games. Kind of makes me wonder if the NHL might consider doing a 2-3-2 moving forward now because, the stretch that we've had. And generally that's how it is. Unless you get a Detroit, Chicago, maybe you need to reconfigure how they're doing this.
Yeah, it was a long break in between. It was a long flights. It was a long postseason Stanley Cup final run for both of these teams. It was not easy by any means. Like, just because they had an extra, quote, day off, it's not really that's not really what happens. Who sleeps really good on an airplane? Do either of you?
No.
I
mean,
I don't sleep, period, hardly.
Right. Like, even if you're on a private, charter plane, it's, a challenge. So I want to hear both of your reactions, like top moment from either this final, the series, last night's game 7, the cup coming out. What was your peak moment from this Stanley Cup final? Andy?
Well, to me, it's gotta. Oh, sorry, Andy. Go,
Alma. Go. Alma's got a lot to say. Let's go, girl. Let it go.
Ladies first.
To me, it's honestly just gotta be game 7. And I texted both of you guys at the fact that I'm not very active on Twitter, or if I am, I'm not really live tweeting the games. And I just so happened to be doing it yesterday. And the fact that I had people that will criticize me for one, just being obsessed with hockey, tuning in. And I was like, oh my gosh, this game 7 is bringing out the casual fans. I did see people have fun with it. Oh, I've not watched one game this season, but here I am watching game 7. So I thought that was pretty awesome that people just kind of stopped what they were doing to tune in. So I'm like, yay, hockey. By all means, anybody just watch and just, I said it. I said, aside from being a hater, I was like, you know what? This is going 7 games. I want a good game 7. And I think we got that. It lived up to the hype. And I was just excited to be tweeting about hockey and everybody actually interacting with me about it and just joining. So that was pretty cool. And as far as a moment that stood out to me, I loved Tkachuk's speech where he was like, oh, I want to thank my fans in my people in Calgary because I was not going to let Edmonton win. I strive to be that type of petty. Like, that is what, moving forward, I will be that petty fan. That was awesome.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I like how we went 7 and we witnessed 7 games, and game 7 was important. I mean, I hate when you see a sweep. I did not, I mean, in that group chat that you're talking about, I said I do not want to see this be a sweep. To me, it doesn't look good for the sport, and for it to go its duration is really good, because the casual fan might not understand. Oh, you're bringing 2 of the best teams together and one team sweeps it. They don't understand what's going on with that. So for Edmonton to actually stage a potential comeback, and for Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet, to lead the way, I think was premium for the league.
Now, I have a lot of thoughts, of course, what else is new, but I think I'll come back to Connor McDavid in a minute, but I wanted to say that I think for me, it was listening to Paul Maurice, the coach, his whole story of not being with the team, thinking he's retired, basically coming out of retirement for Zito. For Paul Maurice to come back and to have such success with this group, and the things he said in his post-game 7 interview of just how genuine he is and how he really thinks about what he's saying, and he really means what he's saying when he's talking about the team and how it's a special group, and how incredible it is that he was able to still call his parents, who are still alive, on the ice and tell him he's a Stanley Cup champion. I just root for those good guys, those guys whose stories you don't know what's going to happen. And you could say the broadcasters, they were like, he's lost 1 million games and has never won anything, and today he wins. Like, okay, that's not how this works, right? A lot of people lose a lot of games in order to win some in this league as a coach. So I just think it's really incredible what he was able to accomplish. So that was my top storyline. And plus his post-game press conferences all season long were just the best. Did you see any of those?
I did, yeah. And if you think about it too, with his situation, when he left Winnipeg, right?
I don't remember.
I think that was the last team that he was with.
Yeah, he said he wants them to win.
Yeah, and they were on the fence of who they were going to hire, because Andrew Burnett was there, who was also really entangled with that group really well understood, really well respected too. So they went right now with a really good pick with Paul Maurice, and I'm sure they didn't want to let go of Andrew Burnett, but they had to pick one or the other.
The changes played in their favor, and they've brought the first ever Stanley Cup to the Florida Panthers organization, which is exciting. And
the trade too, the Tkachuk trade.
The Tkachuk trade.
Did you guys see the retweet of the trade announcement? Somebody found it and retweeted it, and they said, look at all the comments. And it was like, we're going to be garbage. Can't believe you traded Huberdeau.
That's right.
Yeah, they were all over the Panthers for that trade.
Speaking of eating words and digging up old tweets, the Connor McDavid tweet when he was a kid, he tweeted on the same date as Game 7 was played, saying that, like, I'm so jealous. Just how cool is it to see the Stanley Cup? Every time I see it, I'm so jealous. I'm like, he's still really jealous, probably, Yeah.
I mean, I would be if it's your ultimate goal. Of course. I totally understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's every single player's ultimate goal, like in the back of their head, no matter what. So, but he did win.
And then
go ahead.
Oh, no, go for it.
No,
I'm going to shy away from Connor McDavid. That's why.
Oh, well, I was going to lead into that since we were talking about him. So he did win the Conn Smythe. He obviously did not come out on the ice.
Hang on. So I got a story on that. I got the story, because I know someone that was at the arena. So Connor McDavid stayed out as long as possible, and they took a long time setting it up, and he didn't want to hang around. Like, he stayed out there for longer than most people stayed out there. He didn't obviously know he was going to win it, so he stayed, and they're still setting up, and then he's like, all right, so he just left. So that's the reason. Because I was upset. I thought they were doing something with the broadcast. I'm like, why are we showing Bobrovsky? and they kept on Bobrovsky, but that's why. I actually found that out this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you don't go out and get no, I wouldn't go out and get the trophy. Would you? Alma, would you go out there and get it?
I think that, well, I love that in hockey after losses and wins, they go ahead and do the handshake line, right? But I think that's where you kind of just draw the line. You show your good sportsmanship, you shook hands, but in a final, the last thing you want to do is be out there watching everybody else celebrate, especially like we're saying, that's your ultimate goal as a player. So I mean, I wasn't upset that he didn't go out there to get it. Like, I wouldn't expect them to. Like, I'm really glad they did give it to him, because like I was trying to explain to casual fans, they're like, how the F does he get it? You know, his team didn't win. And I'm like, because he is the MVP. Did you not see what he did in the final, let alone the entire playoffs? Like, I wouldn't have given it to anybody else but him. But I don't think he was in the wrong for not going out there. He did all he could. And he's like, you know what? I gave them the time. That's it. I'll take it back. That was heartbreaking to see him nearly in tears after the game. Like that, I felt for him, because there's always a winner, there's always a loser, and seeing the losers always kind of sucks.
It does. It's, it's not easy. It's one of the most emotionally heartbreaking, fulfilling, just range of emotional spectrum that happens when a national championship trophy is awarded. And to have it be a game 7, like you all said, is really even more pressure and more excitement, and brings that casual fan in to watch, which I'm here for. Well, the last person who won the Conn Smythe on a losing team, I tried to look up the guy's pronunciation, so here we go. I'm going to give it a
Giguere.
Say it again.
J.S. Giguere.
Giguere. In 2003 with the then Mighty Ducks. So that was a long time ago. So it's been a long time. There's only been, I think, 5 or 6 players when I looked it up who have won the Conn Smythe on a losing team. But it's really about the Stanley Cup anyway. It's not about anything more than that. Andy, let's talk about your St. Louis roots. Tell us what's happening with St. Louis right now.
Well, it's also just one specific high school too. So the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship. Jayson Tatum, who's a St. Louis native, went there, and Matthew Tkachuk also went there, who just won the cup. So it's highlighting a school that there's been
Chaminade.
Sorry?
Chaminade.
Yep, Chaminade. I'm a CBC cadet, for those of you listening in from St. Louis. So
it's a big deal, by the way. In St. Louis, what high school you go to, it's like if you don't know anything about people from St. Louis, if you meet somebody from also St. Louis, the first question is, what high school did you go to?
Right.
So
yeah. So with CBC and Chaminade, they're rivals. So there's been a few NHLers that have gone through Chaminade. One specifically, Ben Bishop, has been through there. We all know Pat Maroon went to high school in St. Louis too. So that's the cool thing that they got right now. And I was texting my friend whose sons both go to Chaminade, and he's like, boy, that'd be cool if they can get both the trophies there for all the boys to see. And I was like, yeah, that would be.
Oh, they got to make that happen.
Somebody has got to be on the phone right now from Chaminade trying to figure that out.
Oh, yeah. That could totally happen. We've got to see Tkachuk and Jayson there at the same time,
Yep, and there's photos of those two in high school. They were on some bus or something together. I guess maybe it was a field trip or something, because I highly doubt that each of those two children took a bus to school.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a public school, so...
Yeah. And actually, a fun tidbit, in St. Louis, more of the prestigious high schools are single sex.
Yes.
So Chaminade's an all-boys school. CBC, like I went to, is an all-boys school. And then there's a lot of all-girls school that are more prestigious than the co-ed schools.
Oh, yeah. It's a big deal. But I thought that was a pretty fun storyline, and how the odds of that happening.
Yeah.
Like 2 classmates winning.
And they were buddies, too.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how that could possibly happen. Any other thoughts about Game 7, the final? Alma, any other comments, concerns?
No, I was just gonna say it's I was happy with Florida winning because, you know, they lost last year during the off season, or, you know, middle of the season. You see them acquiring these guys, and I know they acquired 2 ex-Sharks players. So, you know, when these kind of trades happen, they're not big names, so they don't make that big of a splash. And it goes to show you don't necessarily have to form a super team to come out of it as a champion. Yeah, Vegas did, but I'm glad they didn't get it this year. But it just goes to show, and you don't need those big names to make it.
Yeah, I would say, even to your point, I mean, did St. Louis have big names when they won, Andy? I mean, they're big names locally or like to the team, but they didn't have big names.
I mean, I guess Pietrangelo, Tarasenko, like, I don't know if he'd be a national name, though. He just won a second cup. But, yeah, and that's why Florida won, I think, last night, is because it was the team versus McDavid and Draisaitl, to me. And Bouchard, you could throw him in there. So I think the full team, and I thought of that going in. Like I told you guys, it'd take a lucky bounce for Florida to take that momentum away. But as we moved on, you could see the gas was out from that top line from Edmonton in the final 2 minutes. Like, they were beat because that's all Edmonton had to bring on the attack.
Yep.
So, and then to close it up, I will say I'm super happy that Sylvain Lefebvre won another Stanley Cup. He won it as a player with the Colorado Avalanche in '96, and he just won it as an assistant coach with Florida. He did a lot with that defense. There was some guys that he brought in that I'm pretty sure he had a very big hand in bringing in because he knew he could develop them. And you look at some of those guys on the blue line that Florida has that were mediocre in years past and now lights out. I think he had a lot to do with that to bring them to their full capacity.
Is that some of the Buffalo Sabres guys? Because there's Florida has 3 former Sabres players, Montour, Reinhart, and Okposo. I mean, to pull 3 guys, and I know one of their coaches, whose name is escaping me at the moment, that just joined the team this year, is from Buffalo as well, like one of their other coaches on the team. That's an interesting element to pull, like a little bit of a group from Buffalo and have this mix here in Florida. I mean, what's the magic happening there that the Sabres organization is missing?
Well, and and then, you know, you can look back at last year too with Eichel.
Right.
It's interesting to see, you know, guys that get plucked from other teams that mesh together. I think sometimes it's just happenstance, but maybe there is something in Buffalo that they need to find clicking. Who knows?
Do we care that the first Evans name is on the Stanley Cup?
It's awesome, but it's not like, oh my gosh. I saw that and I'm like, really, guys? We're like, just, I don't know.
That was my thought too. I'm like, really? This is all we could figure out? Like, this is the only interesting thing about this Florida team that we could talk about? Andy?
I kind of have no thought. I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
It means nothing to me.
Exactly. Like, this is just ridiculous. How do we feel about this other storyline that was mostly Spit and Chicklets related, I feel like? They really took it and ran with it with I don't know her name, but the Edmonton Oilers female fan who flashed her breasts on camera or something. It got tweeted. She tried to delete it. It stayed out there. They interviewed her. They were calling her the good luck charm. She got a photo spread in Playboy Online as it was being called like their lucky charm. I don't know about all this. I don't think it should have made its way to the press that it did. And I mean, obviously I'm talking about it, but I wanted to just see what your thoughts were. Like, is this a good thing for the game? Is this good? Do we want more of this like random fan thing happening? I would be okay without it.
Yeah, it's interesting the way she handled it too. Like, first she didn't want anything to do with it, And then she embraced it with open arms all of a sudden, like 5 days later. So who told her what? And then who also gave her the cash to start doing this stuff too? I bet you Spit Chicklets opened their wallet to get her on. And the interview was really weird too because she took it in her car while I think she was driving, right?
Yeah, it was bizarre.
And I was like, okay, like at least sit down. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, whatever. Like I can do without it. Give me more of the Hawk 2 girl.
Yeah. Holy crap. That is
nowadays
to change quickly.
The shit that goes viral, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Although that was funny, though, I will give it that. Yeah. But did you see Bryce Harper did that as a celebration?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I loved it.
He hit a double, and he gets the second base, and he goes, and then he threw up 2 for a double, I guess, or whatever their celly is when they get a base hit.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but I'm not even going to explain what that is. Just look it up if you really want to know what that is.
If you don't understand it, you don't need to know what it is.
Exactly.
I had to have somebody explain it to me.
You want somebody to explain it to you?
I'm kidding.
Oh.
We'll do that off camera. We can't do this. We'll get canceled for it.
Yeah. We'll tell you later, Andy.
Look, with the boob girl, like, if you're going to do something like that, embrace it, okay? Like, she embraced it now. Like, hey, girl, get your bag. I will never hate on somebody for capitalizing on something like that, but own it. You did it. You got the exposure. Ride with it. And like you guys said, like, with the Spit Chiclet stuff, they're known to be very perverted sense of humor or whatever, but let's be honest, the interview was a tad cringy. Like, I was like, I get it, but I mean, whatever. She wasn't the good look charm. She secured her bag. She got her 15 seconds of fame. I don't hate on that. I've always said, though, and I know I saw a lot of, I'll play devil's advocate here. I saw a lot of tweets going around saying, like, you know, she got the exposure. She secured her bag. She's doing all sorts of stuff now. She gained all this popularity. If you turn it around and a guy goes ahead and does something like that, he's a pervert, he's canceled, he's this, he's that. So if we're going to be about the flashing, then it's got to be okay with all sexes. Because I've always said, how is it okay for guys to flash on the big screen? And if a girl does, it's, you know, frowned upon. But then this happens. So I'm like, oh, I've been doing it all wrong, guys. I'm just playing.
You and me both.
Do that.
You and me both, Alma. If that's all we have to do to get this going, then shit. What's a little tit out in the world, you know? If that's going to get you going and get you on the radar and get people listening to you, just a body part.
Free the boobs. Free the boobs.
Andy, do you support this?
What is it? TOTFB.
TOT, huh?
Blank out for the boys.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I will say, so I'll close the conversation again. This one's gonna bring it down. So, you're gonna have to change gears quickly. Okay. This unfortunately took away from the real Lucky Charms of the Oilers. You remember the kid with cancer that passed away? Like, he was actually, they were playing La Bamba. That kind of like took all the shine off of that. And, you know, so that was something that I felt was a little disheartening because you had something raunchy take over something wholesome. And being from St. Louis in 2018, and the 2018-19 season, the Blues had Layla. If that would have happened in St. Louis and took the shine away from Layla, I would have been very upset as a Blues fan.
I'm with you. What's the other interesting... Let me start that sentence over. There's another interesting thing that I saw in that the Canadian fans are like, everyone in Canada is rooting for the Oilers. And I'm like...
Shania Twain jumped on that boat.
Listen, we know she has no loyalty to any team in the league, and it pisses me off. And if I get to meet her one day, I'm going to be like, listen, lady, I need to know who you support, okay?
Did I not call that like 3 episodes ago?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
She's like, what city am I in now? Let me put on that sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I can't talk shit because look at what I'm wearing, okay?
Listen,
look, I chose this because I started the season off with a broken toe in Jersey. I said I'm ending it with safe toes and my Jersey.
And I'm living in the past of the good old days with my Patrick Kane Adidas jersey, because now we're moving to Fanatics, and we all know what's going to happen there. I won't be buying any jerseys.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. to hockey jerseys for the next how many years. What is that, though? That, like, no American, right, would have been like, oh, I'm going to cheer for Florida just because they're the American team in the Stanley Cup Final. Like, we don't think that way. The Canadians think that way.
I don't think they do. I think they're just doing that just to do that. Like, maybe there was some people. I highly doubt Maple Leafs fans are like, go Oilers. No. Highly doubt. Ottawa probably, because Ottawa's still not going to win a cup for another 19 years. Actually, I called them being good this year. I'll backtrack that statement. I was in on the Sens. Yeah.
Wow.
Regrettably, I was in on the Sens this year, and I think next year they're going to be pretty decent. But I highly doubt Canadians fans. No way they're saying go Oilers.
I know.
But there's so much open land in Canada. I mean, Winnipeg fans probably were saying it because they for sure aren't winning a cup for a while.
Listen, I don't get that. Alma, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, Canadians just cheer for all of Canada. Like, yeah, we're so nice and kind.
I think it was off for show, honestly, because I did see some, like tweets. I still call it Twitter. Sorry, guys. I did see some tweets like roaming around the timeline about, no, Florida has to win for America. We have to keep the cup in America. And I'm like,
what?
No, but go Panthers.
Right.
I mean, it's been since, 92 since the Canadian teams won?
30-some years, yeah.
So I think it was just in good fun. I don't know that people would be this serious. I don't think what I saw was very serious, but with the internet, who knows? We just talked about it. Look at what's going viral. So
exactly.
Well, Ray, put a post up on Insta, and we'll see. Did you really root for a Canadian team?
There you go. Did you? Doubtful. Or they would probably say, yeah, because they're real nice, just to be, yeah, of course we want our fellow
we'll
Canadians.
Avoid controversy, eh?
Exactly. We're going to just say, yeah, we already know the answer to that poll.
Yeah.
What has been the most interesting trade or stupid trade that's happened thus far during the offseason for the rest of the league during this 2 months of playoffs? Andy, I think you have a lot of thoughts because you were like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So,
well, hang on, refresh me though, because everything happened all within that day. So San Jose made a minor league trade. San Jose picked up Gaudreau.
Kind of shafty though, because apparently that was on his no trade list, but they put him on waivers and like worked around it, and he's not happy. But go ahead.
Hey, I mean, tough cookies, What else? What other trades?
The Flames sent Markstrom to the Devils, and then yesterday, of course, the Bruins try to sneak in this bomb of news and send Ullmark to Ottawa. And then I was looking, there was others though, and I couldn't remember either who else, because there was like a couple other big things that happened that day. Alma, do you remember?
We got rid of PLD. The Kings got rid of PLD.
Alma, why didn't you just yell at me? You're letting me ramble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, I was, and I still stand by it. Like, you know what? We had signed him for that big contract, and I said it with a lot of players. Of course, you sign them for this big money so that they can be great right off the start, and he wasn't. And I said, you know what? Maybe he's just one of those players that he just needs maybe one more year, maybe next year, And I had said if he does well in the playoffs, we're not even going to be talking about his regular season success or not successful regular season, and that didn't happen. So for them to be able to pull that off, I was like, oh my gosh, the hockey gods exist. We got rid of that big contract. Nothing towards him. I never hated him or really liked him. I was always defending him for some reason. But I mean, hey, best of luck to him in Washington. And now we have a veteran goaltender, which we've been needing to fill up maybe one of those holes that clearly we needed help with this season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's the big one for me too. And obviously there was more going on than what we know, because they wouldn't have just given up on him after 1 year if there wasn't more going on in the room or whatever. So I think it's good for them. They got rid of it, whew, that's a big break.
Yeah.
And then for Washington to pick that up, they're going in on him. They really got to make sure that this is a lock, because what is it, another 7 years that they're going to have that contract? So there's that. And then I'll comment on the Olmark trade. I thought that's good for both teams. Korpisalo, I think, is a backup goalie now. There was some high hope for him after that 22-23 year where he split between the Jackets and the Kings. He had good numbers. They gave up a lot to get him, too, I think the Kings did. So for them to then ship him off to Ottawa, it didn't fare well there. He's a backup, and it's only $3 million that they're taking the hit on. So Boston's setting goal for a while now. With Swayman going to get renewed coming up?
Yeah, they're in good hands regardless. Yeah. Boston needs to make some. They were talking about moving him anyway at the deadline on Allmark. So,
right. Yeah, And Markstrom's been rumored too. I think that was a good trade for both teams as well. Calgary's not going to win the cup next year, so dish them off, get what you can, and they got a first prospect and something else too.
And Jersey definitely needed the goaltending, so I was happy about that, since that's I tell everybody I'm 1/8 of a Jersey fan, so I'll stick to it next season. Only 1/8. That's it.
Okay. It's okay. I accept your choices and who you are and who you cheer for and why you cheer for the people you cheer for. I'm good with it. It all makes sense to me. It's all very logical, so I support it. But what I really want to know from Alma is, what do you think of the quote revamp of the Kings logo?
I like it. It looks a little cleaner than the old one, so I see what they did. I mean, they should have just copied the old one, but they did little tweaks to modernize it, and I'm here for it. I always loved that logo. I love the apparel they always bring out with that logo. I would have loved for them to do something with the Forum blue and gold, like the purple and gold. I felt like going that route like they did a couple of years ago with the reverse retro, that was so awesome, and it looks so pretty on the ice. But this entire season they had been teasing going back to that old logo. If you guys were in the arenas and took a look around, it was all that Chevy logo. So I'm here for it. I like it. I know people were saying the Ducks are teasing this big reveal, and leading up to it, all this drama where the Kings were just here's your logo, guys. And and I mean, I'm here for it. There's no secret that our marketing team isn't all like that, all for show, but I was okay with it. I mean, the Ducks are over here and making their fans wait for it when it's already been leaked online through their app. So I'm all that show for a leak. So who really won here? But I like it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I like that too. The Kings look. I like the crown that they included on it. They did kind of a modernized old school look. I do like the purple look too. I'm glad they didn't go purple yellow though. Because I think it's been done. They want to differentiate themselves from the Lakers. They want to make sure that they have their own brand, their own identity. And maybe we get a black and purple one still. That could be a third jersey down the road. But I'm happy. I never liked that old LA logo with the crown in it. I never liked it one bit. So I'm glad they got rid of that. And then you're right with the Ducks. It's been leaked. The jersey's been leaked. Everything's out there. There's nothing for them to hide. I'm why even wait at this point? Send it out. Start selling the merch as fast as you can. Get some buzz going. I don't like the evil eye in Wild Wing though. I don't know why they gave him the red eye.
Oh, it's orange. It's orange, Andy. It's orange because the Kraken have a red eye that looks eerily similar, and the Ducks, their marketing is the same. They took a picture of the eye in the water, just like in Seattle. I'm you guys are caught. Just stop, and they changed their thing. And I gotta say, I'm not impressed by the Kings revamp. They spent quote years, money, coming up with all this new design, it feels like it's this old. It just feels old. It doesn't feel anything new or exciting or different to me. Like this. It just felt flat to me.
What would you have preferred?
I don't know. I'm not the marketing people who've spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to redesign a logo to just take pieces from the old fucking one and put it on a new background and say, here you go. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't.
How do you know they spent years on it?
They said they did. The marketing team tweeted something like, we've spent a lot of time and efforts putting this out and researching, and I'm like,
what they say and what they do could be two different things, though.
All right,
let's be honest. It was probably fanatics putting that statement out the way shit's going with them. So it's probably not us.
I don't know. Like, if you're gonna revamp it, like blow it up and do something like different, like the Ducks are doing. Whether like, yeah, it looks just like the Kraken, but
similar too, though.
They're totally changing it. They're making it an angry, ferocious duck. It doesn't look like Disney anymore. It's going to be different.
He opened his eyes. That took years.
The only difference is the eye. Everything else is the same.
Yeah, and the all orange.
Yeah, again, everything's the same except for colors.
I think it's more of a difference. The Ducks made more of a difference than what we're seeing with the Kings, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Kings brought back the Chevy logo as a third jersey a couple of seasons ago. So it's, I guess I get it, but as a Kings fan, this could have gone south really quick. Sure. Like, I'm glad they didn't bring back those Burger King jerseys. It could have gone that way. So I'm excited. Like Andy was saying, the crown looks beautiful because the crown on this LA one, it wasn't it. What I did love about the LA logo or the old jersey was the LA, like the simplicity of the L and the A, because you take it out of that diamond design and it looks awesome. They should have maybe done something like that, but I'm okay with it. Yeah. But I get it. It just looks cleaner.
I do like the fact that Kings are the only team in the National Hockey League to have a black, white, and gray theme. Nobody else has that. It's shocking, actually.
I like it.
Yeah.
But you see, we have one of the best color schemes in the entire league, and our merchandise sucks. So hopefully with this revamp, our merch is awesome, because that's the reason why I don't own a ton of King stuff. It's all crap. And hopefully they hear this so they can be like, well, damn, we got to get Alma and King's gear. Let's make something great.
There you go, Ray. Clip that. Peg Kings.
And then I'll butt up and we'll also show our boobs on the internet, and then it'll be perfect.
When you just raised your hands, I was like, oh my God, what is she doing?
No. I know too. I was like, oh no.
I was like, oh my God.
Come on, I got a shirt on underneath here, please.
No, Alma, she went like this to brush your hair, and I was like, what?
She's doing
for the when you post the pictures or something, it should be us, like if we're gonna flash, but it's not. Yeah.
And Andy's just like this with his eyes covered.
I'm the see no evil monkey.
Yeah. Lastly, Arizona. What else is new? We've been talking about Arizona for fucking forever, it feels like, and the debacle of the stadium and the ownership and the organization. Well, their whole big plan of the state auctioning off this big chunk of land that was supposed to be the future site. Well, the state decided to cancel the auction. They have no plans now. It's in complete shambles. It sucks for people who are fans of the organization, but we don't know what's going to happen there. It will be a very long time, I think, before we see a team back in Arizona.
Agreed. Plain and simple, you're going to need a new ownership group. Yeah. And I've told you this before, Ray, on one of our previous episodes. It sucks because it's such a booming city. Yeah. And you're the only Major 4 team that's not in that market. Plain and simple. I think you got to get a new owner, and I would love to see the NHL back there. It's going to be a lot of hard work to get back there, though.
Yeah. Alma?
And it sucks because I personally loved what was it, Gila River Arena, but I think that was just me being selfish because I'm a tourist. Like I would go out there to see the Dodgers spring training. It's literally right down the street. So you stay there, you go to the baseball game in the morning, you go to the hockey arena, and then you come out to what's it called? Westgate. That whole area, I love it. It was awesome, but that's just me speaking from a tourist. I was only there once a year. Like I can't even begin to imagine what people were talking about the traffic. As it is here in LA, the traffic is bad. If I don't leave my house at 5:30, I won't make it to puck drop, and I live 15 minutes away. So I get that. It really sucks. Like we said, for fans of the sport, to go ahead and lose your team the way that you did really, really sucks. And I hope that in the near future they do bring hockey back to the desert, but the way it's going, I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I think like Houston will probably get a hockey team before Arizona gets another one.
You're right. It is a wonderful arena. That's not biased. Like I've been there. I walked around that area. I was like, holy cow, like it's perfect, especially with the outdoor area that they got. You can go to a restaurant before or after the game. The problem was when they were at the Gila River, it would take fans 30 minutes to drive in. Apparently, I'm hearing this for locals, it's starting to build up closer towards that arena now. So I guess you could call it a westward expansion in Phoenix. So everybody's moving further out from Scottsdale. They're moving closer to Glendale, I think is what it was. So maybe in 5 years, there's more of a population around it to make it more fruitful for hopefully a new owner. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We know we're going to hear something out of that organization over the next 6 months. We'll probably hear some more bold ideas of what they're trying to do. I think their biggest mistake was speaking so publicly about a lot of things that were not guaranteed to happen. And I think when you are in this position and you're dealing with, hundreds of millions of dollars with a team, and you've got to have that shit on lock before you start saying anything publicly. Like,
yeah, I just don't understand how you're allowed to release blueprints of what's supposedly going to happen only for 2 days to find out, hey, you know what? We're not doing this. That's it. Your team's gone. That was sad.
That's an ownership thing, I think.
I think that was a last-ditch effort to try to make people believe.
Yeah, but that's not good. Not the best business moves from somebody who doesn't own a hockey team. Saying that means a whole lot. All right, hunk of the week. Who's your hunks of the week? I'm going with Okposo. Just seeing him with hearing his story of playing knee hockey, they called it. That's not right.
Oh, yeah, with his kids.
Was playing hockey with his kids, the morning of or the night before Game 7, and how he was a little kid at 8 years old watching the Stanley Cup Final, and his kids actually got to be there, and they're the same age or similar in age. He of course said it much better than I'm paraphrasing it, but giving it to him, the heart, that seeing that heart and knowing the deeper meaning of winning and the joy it brings is my hunk of the week.
You'd think that I would go with Tkachuk, the St. Louis guy who went in the Cup, but I'm actually going to go with Bobrovsky. I think he's been one of the best underrated goaltenders in the NHL for years, and he didn't get much credibility going down to Florida because I guess there's not much eyes on the Panthers nationally. They finally started to catch some speed over the past 2 years, but I mean, I remember when he was with Columbus, and they had Panarin on that team, and it was just lights out, because of Bob. And then he flew under the radar for some reason, I guess, going down to South Beach, and now he's back on top again nationally. So well deserved, I think, for him to get that cup. One of the best goalies that didn't win a cup besides Hank, and now he has won a cup.
Cool. That's such a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm such a girl, and I'm a sucker for stories like this. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. He was an ex-Shark last season, but his wife is very she's on TikTok a lot, and she had posted that she wasn't able to go to the Stanley Cup Final games at the beginning because she was very, very pregnant, about to give birth to their twins. And yesterday they posted a picture of him with both of his twins in their little carriers. So I thought that was awesome. Like, oh, I love that. The kiddos get to experience that with their dad. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's what I think means the most to so many of these guys is like being able to have this moment with their families, whether it's, Keith Tkachuk and Matthew and Brady and that whole family, or what you just said, Alma, with, all the support that goes into letting these guys become Stanley Cup champions. Doesn't happen without the support systems off the ice as well as, on the ice and in the organization. All right, that's it. End of the season. 107 more days until we have hockey again. Thank you both for everything you did this season. It's been so much fun having you both on, filling in and getting your different opinions and covering this league and covering all the things for the second half of this season. So thank you both very much.
You're welcome. Should we part with a off-season prediction or anything like that?
Sure. What do you got?
I don't have one. I
don't
wasn't prepared for a follow-up.
Alma?
That my Kings will finally make it out of the first round of the playoffs and hopefully beat Edmonton if we face them again.
Well, here's my wish for the Blackhawks, that we stay healthy enough to have somewhat of a season to see what the fuck our players can actually do if they're healthy playing together. I just want to see what this group is capable of. So that's my hope for next season.
I got a good one here, and we'll make it off-season related. So there's a lot of rumors swirling with Kings, with Hawks, with Blues. What do you think your team will do around those hot topics? So Ray, what do you think? Kane's coming back? Who do you think they're going to sign? Kane's
not coming back. No.
Okay, so what do you think they're going to do? What moves are they going to make? Because I'll start. I'll let you guys think. Pavel Buchnevich has a lot of rumors right now with the Blues. They tried to trade him around the deadline. I think they're going to re-sign him. He's only 30, so I think they're going to re-sign him. I remember Doug Armstrong said that they want to get 2 first-rounders for him. I still think that they're not going to get that, or a first-rounder and a prospect. I think they're going to be better off signing him and keeping him.
Okay. I don't think the Hawks do a whole lot until after Friday, after the draft, or after this weekend. I think they want to see how that plays out and what they can do for Bedard. But I don't really think they're going to do a whole lot because, like I said, the whole team was injured. And they do believe in their core and what they have, but they weren't able to see what they could do. I don't know if they're ready to throw it all away, start getting rid of Foligno and whatever, all these other people. I don't think they're going to make a whole lot of changes just yet. They might bring in one more veteran. I don't know who. They could definitely use that. Leadership in the locker room and the experience with a lot of these young guys, but they're trying to develop them. So I don't imagine them making a lot of big changes. They've got to make
do you think they go that Demidov for the forward? Do you think they draft him or a defenseman?
I think they want forwards. I think they want to find the right match for Bedard and to fill those gaps. And we've got fucking Seth Jones for 100 more years. So we're good on defense if you ask anybody around the league. Alma, what do you think for Kings? Well, you've got a big change already with Pierre-Luc Dubois being gone.
Well, I think that clears a lot of cap space, and it just depends what they're going to do with the rest of the cap space. I think our biggest thing going into the season, or at least going into training camp, is who's going to be our 1 and 2, who's going to end up staying with the Ontario Reign. They got 2 really good, really young guys on the Reign, so I don't know if they're going to go with keeping both of the younger guys there doing what they did last year, keeping a young guy and a vet down there. So I think that's what's going to be like our story of going into training camp, and we'll see what we do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And stay tuned for the series on Amazon, right? The Amazon behind the scenes series with the players. Yeah. We'll see how much we actually get of these guys. Let's see. Let's see what they were able to get out of these brick wall hockey players. Let's see how much personality we get to see. I hope we get some.
I hope so.
All right. That's all we have. Thank you for listening. House of Hockey Podcast.
Bye.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.